over at the Blank Theater. And we had, I believe, an open call. And Mary Beth came and auditioned and was just wonderful and walked in and lit up the room, and there was no way I couldn't give her the part. And
was that how it really went?
It was.
There wasn't like another runner-up or something?
There was a runner-up, but she didn't light up the room like you.
There was somebody actually that we thought we didn't know you were coming in. And there was somebody else, and then you came in and it was like,
yeah, that was it.
Oh, that made my day.
And we just had so much fun.
And as I was just saying to these guys earlier, I was in a sort of a lull in my Days of Our Lives job, and I got submitted for this play, and one of the things I really wanted to do was rehearse, because we don't do that in daytime. It's, you know, boom, block and tape, and most of the time, if you're at the end of the day, even they say, oh, we'll just go to tape. So, you know, there's no rehearsal. So this guy's so fabulous, and we would rehearse and redo it, and he would even come up and play me and whatever. And it was just such a great experience, and I was just saying to them, like, I only needed opening night. I didn't need anything more than opening night, but just the process. I love that process, because we don't get that at all.
It was really fun. And so we loved it so much that when we opened up Studio C, the very first, this space here, the very first thing we did was call Mary Beth and Wilson. And we did another play called Murder at the Howard Johnsons. That was really fun, and that was the first show that we actually did here.
And that was broad, big comedy, and for me, you know, that's always so scary. You don't want to get arrested for bad acting, so it was my meter. But but you know what? It was very liberating, and I feel that I carried that onto my acting life outside of this. Was just being not bigger, but more open and more like let it rip.
Well, that's what's so wonderful about rehearsal is you get to let it rip, and you know.
That's why you have good directors, hopefully, to say, take it back a notch. Yeah. So how did you guys meet and create this whole great company and this theater and the vision, and how did all that happen?
Interestingly enough, it started with 8 people in my dining room. And it started to grow. I mean, we literally were 8 people, and now, all these years later, I mean, I think we've been to almost like 2,000. Michael was somebody who came into Studio C. This is Michael Santek, my business partner. Came into Studio C and was kind of like the class liaison at first. And we just sort of came
They just took everything over.
Yeah. So just took everything over.
And you're like, okay, you do it.
I was like, okay, good, you do it. And yeah, so we have this space, and we do shows here, and we try to do films here. And we, it's going okay. Actually, we have a meeting tomorrow.
And you guys, don't you also take your lesson plan, your technique to other places? You've been to Australia, right? I mean, don't you guys take it and do like a few weeks?
Yeah, we have. We've taught in a couple of places here in the country, and then we've actually we've taken it out of the country. I was in Australia teaching. I guess it was 3 years ago now. Actually, yeah.
We went to New Orleans, New York. We sort of developed sort of a new approach to acting, which is really based off of the old approach from the studio days.
I have to figure out what that is someday.
You have.
I always tell people I'm a wing and a prayer. I don't know. Those approaches. I don't know. So now that you know how we all met and how this all came about, Michael and I have been talking about a nonprofit that they are starting, and I wanted him to tell you guys about it so you can kind of learn like I'm learning about it, because it's such a cool thing. And when I did the Dream Loud campaign photos, and I know a lot of people are doing those, his idea is sort of the same, like the arts are not in schools anymore. And Bradley is trying to get awareness back about this. And so Michael's got a different take on it, and something that kind of goes with my CASA background that I've written to you guys all about too. And I think that a lot of you might want to get involved and help support this too, because it's such a cool thing. So I'm going to let him talk about it, and then I'm sure I will be able to not chime in. So.
Well, we started this charity called One World Stage and Screen. We started about a year ago, and it really kind of grew organically out of what we're doing through the school with Studio C artists. We often were scholarshiping people and already doing that kind of thing. And really what it boils down to is that we just kept coming across people after people that had the talent and wanted to have a career in some way in the performing arts. But you know, training is such a key thing, and it's such a roadblock because it's expensive. And
you know, I told you I wouldn't be able to not talk. When I was 14, back when you didn't have to show, you know, your passport and your ID and get a finger stamped by your age, I got a job at Taco Bell, and the reason I did was so that I could pay for my acting classes and pay my sister, my sister who charged me, to drive me to the acting classes. And I did it solely for that reason, but, so yeah, it's expensive.
It is, it's so expensive, and it's one of those things, I mean, a lot of people that aren't in performing arts don't maybe realize, but yes, you can go to college for it, but whether you do or don't, it's still almost a requirement that you are actively training. It's like my class actually that I teach for adults, I call it the workout class because it's like going to the gym. It's, you have to be going week after week after week to be exercising that muscle. And
you know, I actually read in Billboard, or is it not Billboard, it's a Backstage magazine that I was getting online. And there was a thing there that said, I mean, this is talking about people in, you know, really trying to go for the craft, should spend 40 hours a week on their craft. And I thought, holy smokes, you know.
But that's a lot. I mean, it'd be great.
But networking or doing phone calls or doing pictures or anything, classes, whatever, but
it's got to be a full-time job.
Right, even though I don't do that, but, and now
you
I
did,
know. Yeah, but in my goals, it wouldn't be 40 hours, but just even reading that article made me more aware and to start thinking about, you know, what we're doing. So
yeah, and so, you know, we created the organization to allow a place where financial means wasn't the impediment for people to be able to train in the performing arts, to get real, true professional training, the same training that other people who can afford it are able to do. And so we've kind of started gearing towards kids, and so we've run a couple of programs now. We taught a drama program at a charter high school in up just north of downtown Los Angeles last year, and then we also ran some programs here as well. And it's really great. I mean, we've had kids here that they are working professional actors, and like some of these families, 2 of them that I had, didn't have a place to live for part of the time last year. And so we're able to afford something for them that they can really, you know, gain from and use, and I've watched them use it for their careers, and they wouldn't be able to, they just flat out wouldn't be able to. It's just not an option.
Right.
So that's the purpose of the organization.
Do you know, I have this one CASA boy that I had, he was in a group home. Group homes are so tough. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're so tough.
Yeah, they are.
And he was a super heavy kid, and he had a lot of issues, emotional issues and different things. And the whole time I kept thinking, like, he needs to be in the theater department, because this sounds funny, but it's almost, I found, for me and for people that I met, we're all kind of misfits.
Yeah.
And when you get into a theater group, this is a family.
It is. And
everybody's supportive, and everybody accepts you however you are. Right. And I did talk to him about it a bit. He never really kind of got into it, but it also wasn't available at his school. Yeah. It wasn't anywhere that he could go do it. Yeah. And he wouldn't have had any money anyway and whatever. But that's why this idea is so good.
It used to be that they could get at least some form of training, you know, from the school system, and that just really does not exist. There are other programs, like you mentioned, there are other nonprofit programs that go into the schools and do stuff, but LAUSD and the other school districts around, generally speaking, do not have programs anymore. And, or if they do, they cost money afterwards. You know, like you said, it's not only just about training people to be professional actors, but it's
to fit in.
Yeah, I mean, there's been study after study that just shows the benefit of the arts in general for kids in just their development and their just in growing up, and just sort of helping kids through life and dealing with different problems that they come across. And it's really unfortunate that, you know, I had the opportunity to have arts classes all the way through when I was
Me too.
And that was just common.
Me too.
You know,
Me too. I might, in fact, right before we started, I said I had to spit my gum out because my high school teacher, my Mr. Madalena, who passed away unfortunately, but he was a New York stage manager, and he brought to Huntington Beach or Orange County here the most amazing theater department. In fact, now it's a magnet school and really hard to get into that department, and that was from what he built back in the 70s. And but the stuff that he taught me, I'm still no gum and this and that, and diction and blocking, all that stuff that I, you know. But
that's the basis of it all, though. You have to learn that stuff first.
Yes, and I just know in high school I wasn't a jockey kind of person. I wasn't a cheerleader. I wasn't any of these things, and I had a single mom, and it was a community and these friends that we made in that thing where I wouldn't have got them out there in the quad because I wasn't that person.
Right.
I wasn't hip.
It's also not the thing that you're gonna talk out about necessarily, because maybe you're already getting picked on enough for other things too. So
Well, I wasn't picked on.
not necessarily.
No, I know,
not
I know,
you,
but
other kids.
Like this kid that I'm talking about, my CASA kid, he was endlessly picked on. And I just thought, if he could just get into a theater department where he would be accepted as he is.
Yeah.
And if, I was thinking actually as you were talking, it'd be cool if down the road you sort of put this sort of curriculum together, this thing that could be sent to other people in other states to kind of
That's actually a long-term idea
Yeah.
that we have for it, is to be able to develop a program that it doesn't have to be us teaching it necessarily, that it can be brought elsewhere. With the same ideas.
Yeah. Do you know, I have another really close friend who's involved with, it's called Zeno Mountain, I think it's in Vermont, and Camp Jabberwocky in Martha's Vineyard, but you should look this up. I can't remember the name. I'm going to send you the link. But they have all handicapped kids. And these people, the counselors and them, do a movie. And I think it's called, I can't remember the name of it. I'm going to find out.
That's cool.
Bulletproof is the name. Look it up online, Bulletproof. But it's so awesome. And the counselors who maybe speak clearer or do whatever are, do a lot of dialogue too, but so does like this guy who has Down syndrome. Like I think the lead had Down syndrome. I mean, it is so groovy. And they did a full-on like Western. I mean, what an undertaking. But it gives me chills to see him talk about it because it's such a cool thing. And these guys felt like superstars.
Yeah,
you know?
Right, exactly.
And how great is that?
It's really interesting. I mean, just even with the group that we had this past year, we had two different sort of scenarios, because the high school situation, we were actually running the arts program in that school because the school decided that they wanted to have something and they brought us in to do it, which was fantastic. I remember I had this one girl who sat in the back of class every week, and she was really sweet, but just didn't say a word, and you'd ask her, we tried to engage everyone, and she didn't even want to answer questions and things like that. And I told a story that was personal for me, actually, about I had a brother years ago who passed away, and I kind of talked about all of that, and tried to really show them how you connect to something that happened to you and you use that in your work. And I didn't get particularly emotional, but it was heartfelt. And she came up after class, and it was the most I ever heard her speak before that, and she said, my brother died too. And what you did, I saw exactly what you were talking about now, and I see how this works. And she was saying she understood how to open up, but in doing so, she was opening up to me. And then after that, she started participating in all this stuff because she understood what it was doing for her.
Right.
It was opening
Plus,
up.
as an adolescent, to have a mentor, somebody who understands you. That's the thing too. I think in this acting class, I think anybody who's taken an acting class could tell you that it's almost like therapy session.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Our joke always is that the only difference is that therapy is where you go to fix something. If you come to us, we're not going to try and fix it.
Right.
We'll expose it, and then if you need to fix it, you have to go somewhere else.
Yeah, we'll get it out of you.
Right.
But no, it's interesting because it makes you have introspection too, which, I mean, we just talked about this on our blog last week about how we don't hardly ever take one cleansing deep breath a day unless you go to a yoga class,
Yeah, right.
We're all just spinning around. So, right, I know.
I do it myself now.
I know.
Yeah.
So true. So, any age, shape, size, anything, I think, getting into an acting class, even if you're not an actor, it's so helpful. My husband's, my husband's almost 60. He has to public speak. He hates it. And now I think he's better at it and he doesn't hate it as much, but had he taken an acting class, it probably would have helped him a lot. I mean, it helps everybody.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I think is so great about acting classes and when you really get into something like that is the whole concept really is that you're supposed to be reflecting and mirroring life. Well, life, you have good parts about you and bad parts about you, and so when
nobody wants to show the bad.
Nobody wants to show the bad, and we often, it's human nature, we don't want to look at the bad, and we think, oh, well, people won't like us if they see that. And so we sort of develop our personalities off of, oh, well, I've gotten validation on this is what they like about me, and I'm going to keep this over here. And what you learn in acting classes is that you do bring that stuff forward, and not only do you become aware of sort of the wholeness of your life and of others and of humanity, but you sort of learn that, like, oh, you know what, they still love me despite that stuff, and that's okay. And I think a lot of that's very healing. Yeah, very, very much so.
So let's just talk about the fundraising aspect
Yeah.
of this, because as I've said, I want to get involved in this because it kind of relates to several areas of my life, and I know how helpful it is for people, like I was talking about my CASA kid too. But so why don't you just talk about what you and I have been talking about, what we want to do?
Yeah, so what we kind of decided to do is we're going to do a fundraiser towards the end of this year in November. And the idea is that we're going to put on a show, and we're still figuring out what play exactly we're going to do, but have Mary Beth star in the play. And
I've been talking to Stephen Nichols, and I think he's all on board to do it, and we're hoping to find a piece that has all kinds of different levels of stuff, and I think it would be really interesting for me and Stephen to do that and to explore different aspects of a relationship of people of our age,
Yes.
a relationship, long-term relationship. But we're still looking for that. But
yeah. Johnny will direct it.
Johnny will direct it, and we'll put it up in a theater. We're hoping when everybody comes out for the day's weekend, we're going to try to do it around then.
Correct.
So you guys all start circling your calendar, and we'll let you know more as it
Yeah,
all
we're actually just
unfolds.
putting
And
everything together right now.
part of the reason I'm saying it right here on camera is so I make sure that it happens. You guys have always been so great about coming to my shows and Stephen's shows and everybody, so.
We always look for an opportunity to work with you again.
That's right, ditto. So I think it's been super fun, so we'll keep you posted when we get further down the road, and any other fundraising things you want to talk about? Or?
We're trying to put a couple other things together. So there are different events that we can put together and then auction off, so it gives people an opportunity to sort of have some fun with different events that they otherwise maybe wouldn't get a chance to participate in, and we get the fundraising.
I mean, I don't really have anything to offer except for like a lunch or something, but I could, if anybody's interested.
That's fantastic.
I mean, if anybody's interested, I could get Stephen together and maybe somebody else, whoever, Matt Ashford or some of my peeps or something, and we could all meet for lunch. If that's of interest, maybe comment about if anybody would want to, if we'd want to do an auction for that. I mean, I don't know if anybody wants to do that, but if you do, that might be a way to just maybe we can help fund their spring program, which would be really fun.
Yeah, that would be
So
great.
I know you guys are so good about this. I mean, every Christmas they're always like, what's your charity that you're interested in? They've been so amazing by, gathering funds. So I don't know, it's kind of a grassroots thing, but we all might have fun doing this. So if anybody's interested in that, maybe that, or if you have a suggestion of what to do, send some comments about what might sound good, because maybe we could kind of get this off the ground and going before November. So anyway, thank you guys for your time, and thank you, Michael. I love you. And
thank you so much for doing
this. No, I think it's going to be really, really fun. And Stephen and I've been talking to him for years about doing a play. We did love letters a long time ago, but we were at the book, and it'd be fun to do something else that has a lot of stuff. So that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, it'll be great.
All right, thank you.